Good evening and good morning. Let's begin the book study, our exploration of the book study of the Sunlit part, which has the words from the mother of the mother. And the mother, as we know, has reminded us not to take her words as mere words, as these are forces in action. So it depends on me if I'm ready to receive that force, if I'm willing, if I'm open, if I'm empty, if I am courageous enough to now receive some more light, some more force, or not. So aspiring that we are ready, aspiring for flexibility, receptivity, faith, and courage. Let's begin. So last week we had done the passage titled Concentration, and it was a small passage telling us what is concentration. And today we have to start with the passage Concentration in the Center of Aspiration. So if anybody has the capacity to read, they can please unmute and read the passage. Otherwise, I'll read it. I'll read. So the title is Concentrate in the Center of Aspiration. Mother says, it is always better to try to concentrate in a center. The center of aspiration, one might say, the place where the flame of aspiration burns, to gather in all the energies there at the solar plexus center, and if possible, to obtain an attentive silence, as though one wanted to listen to something extremely subtle, something that demands a complete attention, a complete concentration, and total silence. And then not to move at all, not to think, not to stir, and make that movement of opening so as to receive all that can be received, but taking good care not to try to know what is happening while it is happening. For if one wants to understand or even to observe actively, it keeps up a sort of cerebral activity which is unfavorable to the fullness of the receptivity. To be silent, as totally silent as possible, in an attentive concentration, and then be still. If one succeeds in this, then when everything is over, when one comes out of meditation some time later, usually not immediately, from within the being, something new emerges in the consciousness. A new understanding, a new appreciation of things, a new attitude in life, in short, a new way of being. So, very powerful. And yet, if we don't understand it, if we don't follow it, if we don't practice it, it would remain just words, right? So, let us look at it again more closely. And before I do that, in case anybody would like to say anything, they welcome to unmute and do that. Okay. So yes, one.
Yes, I remember reading this some years ago, and I find it like the most powerful instruction for meditation, maybe that I ever read. I think it summarizes something that also Sri Aurobindo says in the synthesis of yoga in a more extensive way, that we should have a one-pointed concentration on one side, but at the same time, this concentration must be vast, right? Like it's so interesting. This words, like to have this strong one-pointed concentration, but at the same time, uh, not reducing our expectation or what we should be receiving. Like just stay open to the mystery. Don't try and even to understand what can come to us. It's so wonderful, this text. I love this.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Very tough to stop wanting to know what's happening. What did this movement mean? Oh, I see a light. Oh, there is some silence. Like, it's so difficult to shut down. Like, it's so difficult to just allow what is happening to just happen. Wow. Yes.
Yes, because sometimes also we are facing things in our life, and maybe we want some answer, like what should I do now? What can I do with what is happening? So sometimes we are trying to grasp something, and this is like stay totally open for something that our mind cannot grasp, cannot understand, but it in some way it will come. But it's really it's difficult not to try to grasp it in mental terms.
Yes. So let's go through this again slowly so that maybe we can absorb more. And the next time, when it's our time to sit in silence, sit for concentration, maybe we can practice this. I hope we can practice this, removing the maybe. So, Mother says it is always better to try to concentrate in a center, the center of aspiration, one might say, the place where the flame of aspiration burns, to gather in all the energies there at the solar plexus center. So I'll be pausing here. So if some of us remember, we had done a meditation by Ameeta Didi from the Gnostic Center, and she had guided us through that, the center of aspiration, the flame of aspiration, basically. So if there's time, maybe we can do it again today. So that place here in the center around the chest region. So, the solar plexus center, usually when we talk about chakras, the solar plexus is around the abdominal area. That's what it is usually said. But Monica had shared with me that, here the solar plexus is the chest area, the heart center. That's what she had consistently found in her readings. And that's where, if we sit and we focus, that's where it feels. So that also strengthens this. So knowing that when we are trying to concentrate in gathering the threads of our everything, we have to bring it down to the center, the place where the flame of aspiration burns, to gather in all the energies there at the solar plexus center, and if possible, to obtain an attentive silence as though one wanted to listen to something extremely subtle, something that demands a complete attention, a complete concentration, and total silence. So, for most of us, even reaching the place of simple silence is tough. It takes time. It may be not happen every time we sit, or maybe hardly happening or not happening at all. But there are so many things that we need to develop, and everything is fine. All stages are okay, but we have to persist and try to do or be available for these to dawn on me, in me. So a complete attention. So a lot of time what happens is that as soon as the being relaxes, as soon as there is some amount of silence, we tend to fall asleep while meditating. We might not even realize it, but suddenly we feel, the jerk in the neck, and we're like, oh, when did this happen? But that happens. So that is sleeping. That is not meditating. That is not a beautiful, relaxive experience. Meditation or concentration is truly not just is for relaxation. I mean, although it's very much publicized as, the relaxation of the being and all, but it's an active meditation. So being very careful about that. And if we keep falling asleep, maybe getting up, walking, taking a shower, drinking water, all those things, I'm not an expert at all. So but we should be attentive. So it demands a complete attention, a complete concentration, and total silence. Even this part, right? It's possible to obtain an attentive silence. So there is silence, but it is attentive. It is standing there, waiting. They tell me what to do or something like this, at your command, as though one wanted to listen to something extremely subtle. So, a lot of times when we sit, we sometimes get lost, right? That what do I do? Or we get into that sleeping thing, that over relaxation. But it's as if somebody is standing and waiting, okay, what do I do? So there's attentive silence as though one wanted to listen to something extremely subtle. And if we are, trying to listen to something that is very subtle, even outside in materialistic, like if I'm sitting in a room and somebody is talking in the other room, and if I have to overhear what they are saying, right, I have to be really silent and I have to focus my energy there. So that is just outside. So the same thing, if I would like to try to replicate inside, it's a very good tip, a very good way to help us, it's like a crutch that, okay, hold this and walk. Yeah, please, if any time, at any time, if there's anything to add, change, reflect, kindly unmute. Yeah, so this we have read now. So there has to be attentive silence and then not to move at all. So again, here the movement would be physical, mental, emotional, right? So lot of things. Not to think, not to stir, and make that movement of opening. So once we are completely still, then to make that movement of opening as to receive all that can be received. So, Mother has again and again warned us never to pull, right? Never to pull something because you don't know what you are ready for. And if you pull something, like it's not to scare us as such, but just to be open, and whatever you are ready for will be given. The descent will happen of whatever I'm ready for. But if I forcibly pull that come, with that extreme, there are sometimes some forces, some energies that we are not able to handle. So mother being mother is extremely protective, and she wants to obviously not have us give us any problems and all. So she tells us to just be open so as to receive all that can be received, but taking good care not to try to know what is happening while it is happening. So, this is the aspect that Juan was also sharing, that we were discussing. This too, the other things are also not easy, yet they are doable. And this too is not easy because the way we have been conditioned that we should always know. There always has to be, that thing that is knowing, that is comprehending, that is judging, that is making sense. How do I not try to make sense of what is happening? How do I not identify? But this is something one has to do. And if we not know it, then how do we do it? So this is where we now know, or we have known before, not to try to know what is happening while it is happening. For if one wants to understand or even to observe actively, it keeps up a sort of cerebral activity which is unfavorable to the fullness of the receptivity. So, to be silent, as totally silent as possible, in an attentive concentration, and then be still.
Yeah, one point. So I think many of us, the way it was explained, and I thought was beautiful, was not to overanalyze too much. So the word concentrate is literally, as we understand it, take it very literally. Like when we say concentrate on a flame, we look at the flame and we just keep concentrating on the flame. So at the heart center also, now sometimes in India we are used to saying, you focus on the point between the eyebrows. That's common. I think a lot of people will do that. Maybe it comes easier sometimes. Uh, and that is supposed to be associated with the will. This one is the psychic, right? So it is actually the heart center, in the center of the chest. And if you, so how it was explained, just like bring your awareness there. Now, if you find it difficult, you can think of like, because sometimes we want to have a visual, right? You can think of a, you know, uh, photo of the mother, or you can think of the mother there, right? You can see her in your heart and just focus on that. Like literally bring the focus on that. And, or if you want to see a flame, that is fine too. Uh, but as you said, Taru, that, you will go into sleep or fall into sleep sometimes, which is okay. You have to persist through that. I mean, as you said, now, different people can try different things, but, it takes time because the sleep is natural because the mind is getting silent, right? So it was explained that sleep will come because the mind, when it goes silent, it associates with sleep. And so it goes to sleep. But then if one persists, then you can see that you can go more. And obviously then, there may be other things. But again, as I think was said, one should not think of, in fact, I would say one should just be quiet and still and not expect anything. Just be quiet and still. And but it is important to just take the words very literally. Like, like if I'm looking at a tree and I'm just going to concentrate on the tree only, I mean, that's all. So now I'm just concentrating to bring the awareness to the center of the chest. If it makes it simpler, you can bring an image. You can bring whatever you want. I think you were talking about the meditation where she was talking about a flame and we are throwing things into the flame and just persist. That's it. So that is, uh, I mean, I remember in India earlier, we used to do like many years. In fact, I think many other people might have heard the center of the forehead was very common. My mother herself used to do a lot of, you know, meditation that way. But I think the heart, because it is the closest to the psychic, is actually, Shivindu also said, if you can do that, that is the best. But the other thing also he has said is what should come spontaneously. Sometimes people feel like, they see this calm coming above their head and then they feel that's good. So he gave two importance to two centers, one above the head and one in the heart, but with more importance to the one in the heart.
Yes, thank you. And Mother has also mentioned that Sri Aurobindo has said that one can also focus on both the heart and above the head, two centers simultaneously, and that is the best. But she said that's very difficult and would come much later. And like you said, right, we all have a point, like, tip of the nose, the place where in front of the nostrils, this is the chakra, like, this is what Sumitra Basu, Dr. Basu always, if you ever attend any of his talks, workshops, which I'm sure you would have, he always says that to align our will to the supreme will, this is the center where we focus. So I think we can experiment, we can do this or that, but for this specific thing, Mother has recommended this. And it's like we get bored, sadly, right? Like that's one of the problems, right? We want variety, we want spices, we want different things. So I guess for this also there are a lot of options and we can pick and choose. And hopefully, like you said, it's very important to be persistent, right? That okay, if I'm trying and it's sleeping, I'm sleeping, then I say, oh, it's not up, my cup of tea. But that won't work. I'll have to persist through this. Okay, sleeping, wake up, shower again, sit maybe. Or tomorrow, take a shower and sit. And for some people, I don't know, they feel even more sleepy after a shower. So don't shower and sit. So we'll all have to find our own way that works for us, but we at least know these guidelines so that we would know where we slip, where we fall, right? Because this seems so natural that one tries to find out what is happening. This is why, a lot of times I've heard people ask other people that, I see a yellow light, I see a white light. What does this mean? What does that mean? And I feel a bit skeptical because it seems like a wrong question. But it's a very common question I've asked people, healers, teachers, gurus, that what does this mean? I saw this, I saw that. So it doesn't really, I don't need to know. It might not mean anything. It might mean everything I don't know. And that also reminds me, and I've shared this before, I am quite sure, that Jetsun Mala, Jetsun Mala Tenzin Palmo, she had also stressed on this that we don't know what anything means. We don't have the insights to judge, to know what means what, because she said when she was practicing under her lama, so she the lama would tell her, give her a pointer that okay, now you have to focus here, and she would do. And then her lama every whatever the time span would meet and ask her, okay, what are you seeing, or what is the experience you are having? And she would very excitedly or surely say that this is what I'm seeing, and he would be saying that no, keep doing. And then she would say something very trivial, and he would be like, yes, now we change it to this. So we don't even know what means what. We are enamored by lights and sounds and flashes, and I don't know, realizations, but that's not the truth of things. I hope by now we know that more and more. So if we can set that thing also aside slowly, that too would take time. There is, further to walk, maybe. My God, I speak so much. Yes, anybody else, please, if there's anything. Okay, and then we'll just read the last one then. If one succeeds in this, then when everything is over, when one comes out of meditation sometime later, usually not immediately, from within the being, something new emerges in the consciousness. This is again being said for us because we always have that voice asking, but what do I get from this? What do I get from this? So, Mother is saying that you get a new understanding, a new appreciation of things, a new attitude in life, in short, a new way of being. And I think and I hope that all of us would agree that we are all looking for a new way of being. There is some suffering in our life. There is some realization, some voice which is saying this is not it. There has to be more to life than this. And this is when we seek. So if we are seeking a new way of being, this is one of those processes which could help us be that new being that I might be wanting to become, get that new attitude, the new appreciation of things, receive that new understanding, and a new consciousness. So then this is very important. And you know how it feels when I hear something beautiful, and I know we repeat this often. It feels that, okay, if I have heard this, this is it, I'm done. Mera ho gaya. I know if I've read, I have become, and we know that is not it. Just understanding this or reading this in itself could be a complete just waste of our time even. And this could just be satisfying some curiosity, some checkbox that, hey, now I know this too. But unless we do it, I don't know if there's any use of it at all to read these things if we are not willing to take out time in our everyday to practice this. So I think this is it from my end on this passage. Concentrate in the center of aspiration, welcoming more reflections. And if we want, we can do that meditation. And if not, because it's not very similar, it was just the center of aspiration that reminded me of that. And yet, since this section is concentration, meditation work, and we have time, we can do it. So, any reflections, and let me know if I should put that meditation on or end.
Yeah, Taru, we'll do the meditation.
So, Charuji, since we have read it in parts, since you have unmuted, would you just like to read the passage once for us before I put?
Yeah, sure, I will do it. Concentrate in the center of aspiration. It is always better to try to concentrate in the center of aspiration. One must say the place where the flame of aspiration burns, to gather in all the energies there at the solar plexus center, and, if possible, to obtain an attentive silence, as though one wanted to listen to something extremely subtle, something that demands a complete attention, a complete concentration, and total silence. And then not to move at all, not to think, not to stir, and make the movement of opening so as to receive all that can be received, but taking good care not to try to know what is happening while it is happening. For if one wants to understand or even to observe actively, it keeps up a sort of cerebral activity which is unfavorable to the fullness of receptivity. To be silent as, to be silent as totally silent as possible in an attentive concentration, and then be still. If one succeeds in this, then when everything is over, when one comes out of meditation, sometime later, usually not immediately, from within the being, something new emerges in the consciousness, a new understanding, a new appreciation of things, a new attitude in life. In short, a new way of being. Thank you, Taru.
Thanks.
So reading 2-3 times really, it helps.
We can hope it does. Okay. So I did find it. Let's see if I'll just see if it's working and I will.
True happiness.
Yeah. So I will start the meditation, and we can, if you want to leave right now, we can, or at any time in between, that is absolutely okay. It would be 15 minutes because Ameeta Didi would be first giving an introduction, and this is from the Gnostic Center, Delhi, and this belongs to them. I just wanted to say that, and they were kind enough to share it with us. So let's switch, putting that on.
True happiness does not depend on the external circumstances of life. One can obtain true happiness and keep it constantly only by discovering one's psychic being and uniting with it, the Mother. This concentration, which is called a dynamic meditation, is one of the most powerful ways of coming in touch with one's psychic presence or psychic flame or psychic being. But for that, the first step is to learn how to concentrate and where to concentrate. So close your eyes and once again allow yourself to be completely at peace. Let your thoughts and your emotions become like a still pond of water. Be completely quiet. Let your thoughts quieten down. Let your emotions become like still, clear water. And gather all your attention, all your consciousness, and focus it deep in the center of your chest. Deep in the center of your chest is the place of the psychic being. Let yourself completely relax and go within. If you find it difficult to concentrate in the center, in the heart center, you may concentrate on any other point. But this is the best place to inwardize one's consciousness and to find the inner psychic presence. This psychic fire meditation is a meditation for progress. And those of you who want to change themselves, transform themselves, this is the most powerful and dynamic meditation. As Sri Aurobindo says, a psychic fire within must be lit. Isn't the psychic fire always lit? The questioner asks the mother. The mother replies, it is not always lit. Then the questioner says, how to light it? The mother replies, by aspiration, by the will for progress, by the urge towards perfection. Above all, it is the will for progress and self-purification which lights the fire, the will for progress. And each defect one wants to cure, or each progress one wants to make, if all that is thrown into the fire, it burns with a new intensity. And this is not an image, it is a fact in the subtle physical. One can feel the warmth of the flame, one can see in the subtle physical the light of the flame. And when there is something in the nature which prevents one from advancing, and one throws it into this fire, it begins to burn, and the flame becomes more and more intense. So let us now begin. Give yourself the space, the time, and do not worry. Just allow yourself to go deep, deep, deep within yourself. And as you go down deeper and deeper, let this will for progress, this will for transformation, become stronger and stronger until you will feel or you see deep within a flame, a light that burns in the center of the being. By your aspiration, let this inner flame, let this light grow higher and higher, higher and higher, until it becomes a burning fire for progress, a burning light. And into it, offer as ahuti all your weaknesses, all that you want to get rid of, all the problems that you have, all your difficulties. And as you offer one by one, the fire grows more and more intense.
Toi que je ne puis penser, mais que je connais avec certitude. O thou, whom I cannot think, but whom I know with certitude.
हे पार्वती हृदय वल्लभ चंद्रमौले भूताधिप प्रमथनाथ गिरीश जाप संसार दुख गहना जगदीश रक्ष ओम नमो भगवते शिवाय श्री अरविंदाय ओम नमो भगवते आदित्याय ओम नमो भगवते शिवाय श्री अरविंदाय ओम नमो भगवते शिवाय श्री अरविंदाय अनंत देवेश जगन्निवास तमक्षरम् नमस्तुते सर्वेव सर्व सुखदं शुभदं सुखदं शुभदं सुखदं शुभदं
Thank you. And I had forgotten that we had started the session 15 minutes late. So we did have the time. I thought we were at the end. There's one thing I wanted to reflect on from this meditation, this will for progress, this will, this aspiration, which they say lights the fire. What is this will for progress, or why is this aspiration needed? What is it? Why does it make, a flame into a burning light? If we would want to share a little bit on that, we can. If we just want to reflect on it individually, we can. But a lot of times we fall into states of just everything is okay. Or, she is doing everything. Why do I need to ask or will or aspire? So if there's anything we want to say on this or think for ourselves, we must.
The music in this video was very beautiful. It was so uplifting.
Yeah. It's been said very well, Ameeta Didi's voice. I mean, of course, the words are by the mother, and the voice is very beautiful, very powerful. Yeah. So I think we can end here today and maybe sit in silence with ourselves if there's time for ourselves, more time with us. And we'll take up a little bit on the will for progress next week. So do reflect a little bit. That do I have a will for progress? Do I actively will for progress? So thanking grace, thanking the divine for the teachings, for these pointers, for this life, for the ability to sit, to listen, to comprehend, to reason, and the will and the light to move beyond this reason and comprehension so that I can now progress further and be lighter. Aspiring for growth, for progress, for lightness, for peace, for simplicity, for stillness, for everyone. May all of us experience and become the stillness that I am capable of becoming, so that I can receive what is available for me to receive. Thank you.
Thank you.